Prime Minister May preparing new offer on financial settlement. Key UK ministers reportedly back ECJ role after withdrawal. Sign up to receive the Brexit Bulletin in your inbox, and follow @Brexit on Twitter. Theresa May won backing from key ministers to improve her offer on the Brexit divorce bill to about £40 billion $53 billion, ITV News reported. Now the Prime Minister wants to make sure she'll get something in return before putting the offer on the negotiating table. May, who hasn't said anything publicly about the size of a new offer, keeps saying the UK and the EU should step forward together. That means she doesn't want to make an offer on the money unless she's sure she'll get the green light for trade talks to start in return. It could cost her her job otherwise, as plenty of lawmakers and voters don't think Britain should be paying anything like the sums Brussels is demanding. ITV's Robert Peston also reported that a key group of ministers agreed that the European Court of Justice will have a role after Brexit for EU citizens. If confirmed, that would be a major breakthrough on citizens' rights, one of 3 sticking points blocking the move from divorce negotiations to trade talks. That would just leave the thorny issue of the Irish border back on the agenda in recent weeks, with the potential to scupper progress. EU chief negotiator Michel Barnier took a tough line on the border on Monday, saying it was up to those who wanted Brexit to propose a solution to avoid a hard international frontier running through the island of Ireland. On the bill, the Financial Times reported that the government won't put the offer to Brussels until December 8, well after a deadline set by Barnier, and just before the Crunch EU summit on December 14 to 15. That's cutting it fine. EU ambassadors are due to start drafting summit conclusions on December 6. But there's a session of Sherpas, the representatives of EU leaders, on December 11, and the UK may be aiming to get its offer in for then. That would fit the UK's long-held strategy of seeking to interact with leaders rather than the European Commission. The EU remains clear, with the 27 still united, that the UK needs to come up with an offer in the negotiating room. Speeches and leaks won't do. It has to be concrete and on the table instead of in the press, Dutch Foreign Minister Halbe Zijlstra said on Monday. It also remains to be seen if the offer is enough. The EU wants to see a methodology and to see that the UK is recognizing exactly where it thinks it's on the hook. The bill, which the EU side has said is about €60 billion, includes budget payments Britain agreed to as a member, unpaid bills for amounts committed to but not yet disbursed, and a share of other liabilities the EU has built up over the years, such as pensions for EU officials. But the bill hasn't really been explained to voters, who were promised dividends rather than bills from Brexit, and polls show almost 2/3 of Brits think a settlement of even £20 billion is unacceptable. Tory lawmaker Robert Halfon captured the mood of a public fed up with the effects of austerity on hospitals and schools. If we start saying that we're going to give 40 to 50 billion to the EU, I think the public will go bananas. Brexit Secretary David Davis might have a crack at addressing it when he speaks at a conference in London on Tuesday morning. Meanwhile, Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson takes questions in Parliament at 1138. Brexit latest. Choose your friends wisely. Barnier issued a clear warning on Monday that if the UK wants a good trade deal it needs to stay close to EU regulations after Brexit. The UK wants the best trade deal that's ever been struck with the EU but also seeks accords with countries, including the US. Trade experts say countries essentially have to choose which regulations they want to abide by. It is not only about rules or laws. It is about societal choices, for health, food standards, our environment and financial stability, Barnier said. Unusual slump. Brexit will lead to a long period of sluggish UK growth, putting the economy in an unusual slowdown for years, according to Bank of England policy-maker Dave Ramsden. In his first public speech since becoming deputy governor in September, Ramsden said that while the resilience of the economy since the 2016 referendum has been welcome, the longer Brexit uncertainty persists the more likely it is that demand and investment growth will weaken. Dividing the spoils, Paris and Amsterdam won the contests to host 2 London-based EU agencies, the first concrete political victories in the battle for Brexit spoils. The EU's banking authority will move to Paris and the medicines regulator will relocate to Amsterdam before Brexit Day in March 2019. The two cities emerged victorious after a series of secret ballots by EU governments, and in each case a drawing of lots was needed after a tie in the fin.